Hello, I'm Sherry Land-Morin, a travel advisor with the Travel Agent Next Door. I've been a travel advisor for over 31 years and I love everything about traveling, and I am here to help you travel better. And one of the things that I keep getting asked is how best to organize and compile all of the travel information and documents required when you're actually traveling. And so I thought I'd put together this video just for informational purposes. This may not work for you, and that's okay. But maybe there are some tips or tricks that I can give you that you can take away from this video that will help. For those that want to try this out, please let me know how it works for you. I've traveled like this for years and years and years and absolutely love my system. So I'm going to show you what I do. So basically, each and every time I book a trip or start planning a trip, I will create a duo-tang folder for that designated trip. Oftentimes I have multiple trips planned at the same time, and sometimes it can be hard to keep everything separate and compartmentalized. So what I suggest that you do is go to the dollar store and buy some duo-tangs. If you can, try and get the plastic ones. They will last you longer and they won't rip or tear when you keep grabbing for it in your carry-on bag throughout your vacation. I have one that looks like this, and on the inside and outside covers, I have folders which look like this. And then you have the 3-hole punch so that you can put various sheets, right? So I go out to the dollar store, I purchase the duo-tangs, and I also purchase the plastic sheet protectors. And the plastic sheet protectors are dual purpose, not only to protect your paper so it doesn't rip and tear, but it also acts like a folder so you can slide some stuff in there. So I'm going to show you what I actually do when I travel, and hopefully this works for you. So let me know, comment back on this video if you've tried it and if it works and if you love my system. So basically what I do is I will create a plastic sheet protector for each travel service during my trip. So for example, travel insurance, I will print the policy information and the actual policy details. Reason for that is you need to access your policy information, your policy number, and everything that's included or excluded from that policy, so that you know if something happens while you're away, you can reference it to see whether it's included or excluded. And then also all of the details, the 1-800 numbers or the local numbers to call in the event that you have to access emergency medical treatment. You have your policy number and the phone numbers to call, okay? So very important that you do that. There's also a slip that you're provided as part of your policy that you can throw into your wallet. So I always print that out, put my policy number on there, and then just slip it inside this sheet protector so that once I get to my destination, and if I'm going on a tour or excursion somewhere, that I will throw this into my wallet in the event that something happens while we're away from the resort, that I have the details with me. Because you don't want to be left stranded on a tour somewhere, needing to go to the hospital and not knowing your policy information, right? So you need to have that with you. So I print that out and include that in one of the sheet protectors. Then if I have other insurance policies, I do it as well. So if you have credit card coverage or some employee benefits, make sure you have those details with you. There are some countries that you need to show proof of travel insurance, like Cuba, for example. So make sure that you have that with you. I also purchased another policy, and so I included that here. Then I pre-booked airport parking. So I included a sheet regarding my airport parking. It had all my confirmation details, the pricing information, and then I would write on there anything important that I needed to access right away or needed to remember while I was on my trip. So for the return, for accessing the shuttle to get back to my vehicle, I wrote the phone number that I call as soon as the plane lands, and then the location of where the shuttle is located. So in this case, I had to go to level 3 departures, not arrivals, to the departures level, and then go to the courtesy bus pickup zone. So make sure you write those details, highlight it, so you remember what you're doing when you're getting off the plane, right? Then I included my details for my flights. So on here is my entire flight itinerary. It has my booking confirmation number. It has my frequent flyer numbers on here. It has my note to remember to download the airline app onto my phone so that I could do my online check-in and purchase seat selection or extra baggage or whatever through the app, and also to remember to subscribe to notifications so that if there's a schedule change or a gate change, we are notified right away, and that's usually the quickest way that you find out, right? So make sure that you download those airline apps. Then inside the sheet protector, I would just insert extra stuff that I needed. So for example, on arrival into Mexico, I needed the Mexican tourist card. So I printed double copies of that because I also have to present the tourist card upon departure from Mexico as well, not just on arrival, but also upon departure. So I included that in my sheet protector. And then I also included the payment of my visit tax in the Cancun airport departure. I have to show proof of payment. So I would just slip that into that sheet protector. So anything in relation to the airport or the airline, I had it in one spot. Then I printed out my electronic airline documents, the receipt, and I included that on a separate sheet protector. Now, the reason I did that is for a few reasons. Number one, in case they ever asked me or there was some sort of weird like technical glitch or something and they didn't show that I paid for those flights, I had proof of payment right here. And also I would throw inside the folder my boarding passes. Now I keep all of those in here also because I keep these duo-tang folders even after I've traveled. So if I have to reference any information for business travel purposes, or if I didn't get credit for the points earned for being a frequent flyer with that airline, I have the electronic receipt showing proof of payment, and then I also have the boarding passes showing proof that I had flown on those flights. And that's how you would request for those points to be put into your frequent flyer account if they aren't automatically put in there. Sometimes it happens, even if the airline has your frequent flyer number on your booking. Sometimes for whatever weird reason, it doesn't show up. You need to have proof of that, okay? Then I would create another sheet protector, and this was for each of our resort stays. So I had one for our length of stay at Club Med, and I printed out the confirmation numbers. I printed out my transfer voucher because I did have to purchase my airport transfer separately to get to the resort. So I made sure that I included all of that in the Club Med plastic sheet protector. I also put a sticky note on here that reminded me what day of the week was what theme of the night. So that way I knew how to pack for the theme. and also what to dress for that theme for that particular night that I was staying at Club Med. So that was helpful to me. So I wrote that on a little sticky note. I also put a note of my login credentials for the Club Med app, because the app also has information in there for checking in, your pre-arrival information, your theme nights and that sort of thing. So I always want to make sure I write down the username and passwords within this folder, so that I don't have to remember, or even, you know, oftentimes I forget what they are because we have so many usernames and passwords for everything. I just write it down, and that way if I'm experiencing any you know, troubles with logging in, I can reference it because I've written it down and I have it at my fingertips. I also wrote a note on here to remind myself to book my taxi to transfer from Club Med to the Hyatt Ziva resort that I was switching over to after my first week at Club Med. So I wrote a little note at the top and highlighted it so I would remember, because we all know when we go on vacation, we don't want to think about too much, and we don't want to, you know, stress ourselves out. We just want to make life easier and just relax and enjoy our vacations. So that goes into my Club Med sheet protector. And then once I've checked in and they've given me the resort map, I always just throw it in here. That way I don't have things scattered all over the hotel room desk and all over the suitcases and stuff. I just have everything organized in this little folder. Then for the next resort, I do the same thing. So I'll include the confirmation for that, and I will include my username and password for my World of Hyatt frequent guest program. I'll also include my sign-in details in case I want to look at my reservation on my app, and the resort map that they give me I put in here. And then I made notes for while I was at the Hyatt Ziva resort, which was the last resort before flying home. So if there was important details I needed to remember once I got there, that I could just look at it and go, yep, these are the things I need to do. I need to book my COVID testing so that I have that completed and the results in hand before departing Mexico and arriving back into Canada, because that was one of the regulations at the time that I had to have. So I made sure I made a note of that and how I would go about booking that once I arrived at the resort. Then I put a note on here to make sure I remembered to book my transfer from the Hyatt Ziva to the airport, because I didn't have that pre-booked. So I wrote a note for that. Then I wrote a note to make sure that I remember to pay the departure tax for Cancun, the visit tax. Remember, I showed you that little slip showing proof of payment and what that website address was, so that I could quickly log in and do that. If I was laying by the pool one day and had my iPad with me, I could do that. And then to fill in my ArriveCAN and my advanced CBSA declaration, which Vancouver Airport, you could do that in combination together. So that just expedited everything for us for arrival into Canada. So I wrote all of those notes on my last reservation for my hotel there. Then if I had to stay at an airport hotel before driving home, I would print out that reservation as well, include those details. And all of that would go inside my folder. So I'll just quickly pop this in here and show you what I do with the folders that are on the inside and outside covers of the duo-tang. Okay, so there's all those plastic sheet protectors, right? Now on the inside front cover, what I did here, and it's totally up to you whether you want to do this or not, I just put just general information, maybe something that I want to read on the airplane in advance, or something that I needed to reference aside from the major, travel arrangements. So for example, I had printed out the regulations for my country that I was traveling to and all the requirements and restrictions, what have you. And then I also printed out the same thing for the process for arriving back into Canada, what was required, so that I had that at my fingertips. Then I printed out the Cancun, the Club Med Resort fact sheet is what we call them. And that includes all the information regarding various activities, the hours of day that they might be operating, dining, the different dining and lounge and bar establishments, what days of the week they're open, what their hours of operation are, if reservations are required in advance or not, just general information about the resort. So I printed that out so that I had that at my fingertips. And then the terms and conditions of Club Med and the medical coverage that was included with the Club Med package, I made sure I had printed that out. And then when we moved over to the Hyatt Ziva, I included their fact sheet that had the same sort of information too, information about the spas and things like that. And if I needed to make special arrangements for my COVID testing in the resort before flying back to Canada, I had all the information about costs and location and that sort of thing. So that is included in that folder. You can organize it however works best for you, but that works for me. That's what I did. And then I created an envelope. I labeled it Mexico 2022, and any receipt that I had, I just stuck it in the envelope. So receipts for things that I bought in the airport, or if I was eating outside of the resort or taking excursions, just whatever I was paying for, I was including all the receipts in here. That way, once I returned back to Canada and needed to cross-reference with my credit card statements, I had all the receipts in one spot. So that went in there. And then in the back folder, the back cover, I had just random information. So it can be as random as they come, and it just depends how much information you want to have at your fingertips, organized for when you travel. So I had currency conversions, I had things like my entire list of what I had in my suitcase. And that's important so that if your baggage is lost or stolen, or there's theft from your suitcase, maybe in your hotel or whatever, you have all the information of what was included in your suitcase, so that if you need to make a claim with the insurance company, if you had baggage and personal effects insurance, that you could reference that. And then I had just general information about the excursions I wanted to take, the ferries that I wanted to take over to Isla Mujeres, and just checklists for traveling with medical supplies and such. And then, of course, because I am a travel agent, I always have one of these cheap little notebooks in here, because I always take notes about all of the travel arrangements and site inspections and information about the resorts and everything that I'm doing and everything that I'm seeing, so that I can come back and better serve you as my clients. So I always have a notebook to make notes. So that is basically my little folder in a nutshell. And I literally just take this and throw it in my carry-on, and it has everything that I need, all of my travel documents, my reservation information, general information, notes about what I need to remember, all of the login codes and usernames and passwords for the various apps, whether they be with the hotels or the airlines. Everything is at my fingertips. I don't have to fumble with my phone. I don't have to look in my bag for random bits of information. It's all in this concise little folder. So that's how I travel. I hope that helps. And if it does, reach back out to me and tell me. Have great travels. Bye for now.